right, well, good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council and the City of Marina Valley Community Services District, City of Marina Valley Housing Authority, Marina Valley Public Financing Authority, and the Board of Library Trustees. The City Council receives a separate stipend for CSD meetings. I now call this regular City Council meeting to order on April 21st, 2020 at 6:54 p.m. And we'll go ahead and have a roll call. So Madam Clerk, before we do roll call, I'll just ask our media team to please put the agenda so our community could see the agenda. All right, and also, okay, so go ahead, City Clerk, go ahead and do a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Thornton.
And our media team needs to unmute each of the council members, please.
Present.
Councilmember Marquez.
Here.
Councilmember Cabrera.
Councilmember Cabrera.
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Here.
Mayor Gutierrez.
Here. Thank you. All right, staff introductions, please.
Pat Jaquez, City Clerk.
If our media team could unmute the other people as well. Thanks.
Steve Quintanilla, Interim City Attorney.
Mike Lee, Interim City Manager.
Marshall Ironman, Assistant City Manager, Chief Financial Officer.
Michael Wolf, Interim Assistant City Manager, Director of Public Works, City Engineer.
Manuel Mancha, Community Development Director.
John Salisbury, Chief of Police.
Abdul Ahmed, Fire Chief.
Okay, that should have been. All right, that should be everybody there. Okay.
Pat Solano's on the line. She just does not have audio connected. So our Parks and Community Services Director is here.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Really quick, we'll go ahead and do the consent calendar first. Actually, we'll go ahead and hear public comments on items on the agenda and also items on non-agenda items as well. If you're speaking on a public hearing item, then you're going to want to wait until that item is called on for a public hearing item. So for example, if you're here for the Cdbg funding or anything related to that, then you want to wait for that item to be called on, which I believe it's E2 or somewhere around, but it's a little bit later. Okay, so again, this is for comments not related to the Cdbg. This is for comments related to basically anything else related to the jurisdiction of the City Council. And I do just ask that everybody just remain respectful towards each other and that you keep your mics muted as well. That would be great as well. If you're not speaking. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes per person. All right. And in order to preserve the meeting decorum, City Council and staff will not respond during public comments. So if you're new here, if you do have a specific question related to a specific issue that you're experiencing in the city, I would recommend that you email your council member or myself as the mayor, or you can email our city clerk describing what the issue is, and then we will get back to you personally to address the issue. You can also, in the chat box, you can write to us in the chat box here, and you can even send me a private message if you'd like, letting me know, about something, a specific issue or something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll take down your information and then we'll get back to you as well. Okay, but in order to preserve the meeting decorum, we will not respond during public comments. We will respond though at the end of the City Council meeting, so that way everybody has an opportunity to speak. Okay, so we'll go ahead at this time. What I'm looking for in order for you to speak, you need to raise your hand, which is the little green icon next to your box, if you'd like to speak. Okay, and so we have, okay, Robert then. We have, who else here? Carrie then and Daryl Terrell. And we have, I'm just writing these down here so I don't forget. Let's see, who's the third? Okay, Brother Benjamin. Now, again, if this is related to CDBG or funding for CDBG, please wait until that item is called. Okay, so please wait until that item is called. All right, now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go through here because we do have a lot of people here. We've got 44 people. I'm just gonna go through here just to make sure there's no other hands raised or people looking at the screen and putting a high five. Okay, all right, I think we got that. I'll check one more time and that's it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with Robert then. And we'll make sure that we unmute Robert then, media team.
Robert, can you please accept or unmute? Thank you.
Hold on, Robert.
Robert, if you're in the same room as Carrie, would you mind switching to her computer? I know that tends to work better for you.
Okay, you just speak from hers. Something's wrong with that one. Okay, while he's doing that, we'll have Daryl Terrell, if you can go ahead and speak. Media team, can you unmute Daryl Terrell, please?
Okay, Daryl, you may begin.
Okay. Tonight, I'm calling in support of the proposed emergency ordinance in general. However, the unprecedented COVID-19 crisis is forcing many of our mom and pop small businesses to reduce their hours and send their employees home, or in some cases, close altogether. Their success is important to our economy and contributes to the vitality of our community. However, in the governor's executive order, he leaves out the commercial tenants when it comes to eviction protection. He left that up to our cities to include them in. And in your proposed order, it explicitly prevents a landlord not to charge interest, late fees, and penalties for non-payment or late payment. That's why I'm urging you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council to amend this order to prevent the eviction not only of our residents who are renters, but our small business tenants. And also, the governor's order does not specify how long a tenant has to pay back the deferred rent. For that reason, I'm urging you guys, you should consider a provision in the emergency order to allow folks up to 12 months to pay back the deferred rent working with their landlords. Also, here's another reason you should consider. In response to the widespread loss of income, certain mortgage relief programs for rental properties have emerged, including Federal CARES Act that would allow forbearance for multifamily.
About 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay, with federal backed multifamily loans. And so you should enter those two, protect the small business owners, and also put a provision in there for the time for people to pay back. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Daryl. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Then.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let me start tonight with this quote. The economy will recover, but the dead cannot. That quote should sound very familiar to everybody on the City Council, and especially to you, Mayor. The statement was used to both begin and to end your April 14th weekly message. I'm glad that in this C-19 virus epidemic that you prioritize the health and safety of residents above the economy. I wish that you would also make this priority of health and safety of our residents a priority when it comes to our air quality and our global warming crisis. To date, the worldwide death toll for the coronavirus is approximately 200,000. 7 million people die every year around the world as a result of air pollution. In the United States, estimates range from 100 to 200,000 deaths every year as a result of air pollution. Air quality is a known and public health hazard. Yet this city council continues to support the World Logistics Center project, which will generate massive amounts of vehicle-related airborne toxins and release greenhouse gas emissions at the rate of 40 times higher than what the South Coast Air Quality Management District considers to be significant. I hope that someday I will hear you say, in relation to the WLC project, the economy will recover, but the dead cannot. Tomorrow is Earth Day, and it's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. On Earth Day, I think it would be good for all of us to remember that the Earth does not need humanity, but humanity needs the Earth. The Earth has been circling the sun for billions of years prior to humans showing up. And it will continue to circle the Earth, circle the sun for billions of years after we're gone.
Thank you, Mr. Then. Okay, next speaker we have is Brother, oh, actually, maybe we could just have Miss Then. I was going to say Brother Benjamin, but then since you're right there, Carrie, we'll just have you go.
We're having some technical difficulties over here.
Okay, no worries.
All right, thank you. I'm a little concerned about the financial health of our city, and I'm asking the city council to give us some direct answers. Will there be furloughs? What services will be impacted? Will citizens be reimbursed for fees levied when parks, libraries, and other facilities are closed? What is the status of our 2-year budget? I did attempt to go online to look for the minutes of the last March 24th Finance Subcommittee meeting, and I was unable to locate the updated information. So I would appreciate it if the mayor and city council could give us that update so that we all can be better prepared for the financial impact the COVID-19 virus will have on us. On another topic, I'm also still very concerned about our lack of protection given to our residents. I mentioned at the March 17th and the April 7th council meetings that we need to provide protective equipment to our residents. On April 7th, our city had 94 cases and 3 deaths. And 2 weeks later, we've already moved over the 300 case mark, and now we have 13 deaths. We need to request that a testing center be brought to our city. And I'd like to ask the city council and the mayor to make sure that you have requested a testing center so that we all know if we're infecting our loved ones as well as our neighbors. We need a local testing center now. If the city comes out of this crisis with thousands of protective equipment stored in a warehouse and millions of dollars in our reserve fund, we will really be a shallow and a hollow city. As my husband just mentioned, tomorrow is Earth Day, and we need to be concerned about our air quality. Air quality is a basic human right. And just yesterday, once again, the American Lung Association stated that the LA metro area, which includes the city of Moreno Valley, has had the worst air quality for the past 20 out of 21 years.
Thank you, Ms.
Actions. Thank you.
Okay, Brother Benjamin?
Yes, I'm Benjamin Schuler, founder of Hole in the Wall, Inc., which is a drop-in center located at 24187 Postal Avenue in Moreno Valley. Love this city. Also, we address the homeless population in the city, and I wanted to know if the city was aware of Project Room Key that the governor of the state of California is introducing, and is the city a part of that program? Because I've been getting a lot of calls from homeless people who's dealing with this COVID-19 situation that are on the street. And our job is to connect them with those rooms if the city is aware of that program.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Benjamin, and we'll get back with your response on that. I'm pretty sure we are. I know that the county and obviously it was a statewide thing that the governor was doing, but we'll make sure that staff gets back to you with that specific answer. Okay, at this time, we're going to move to our consent calendar. But before we do, I do want to ask if there's any council members that would like to say their closing comments at this time a little early, if there's anybody. Okay, Councilmember Thornton? You had your hand raised? No?
So you want us to make our closing comments now? Because I was going to
No,
make a comment.
I said if there's any council member that would like to make their closing comments now.
Okay, I just want to make a comment on A14.
Okay, we're not there yet. Yeah,
Okay.
but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Okay, seeing that there's no council members, okay, we'll go ahead and get going to consent calendar sections A through E, which are considered to be routine and non-controversial, and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the City Council, Moreno Valley Community Services District, would like that item discussed or pulled. The motion to adopt the consent calendar is deemed to be a separate motion by each agency and shall be recorded by the city clerk. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after public hearing items. So at this time, there's a request for A14, okay, for discussion from Councilmember Thornton. And if there's any other ones that you want to talk about, council members, just please raise your hand. Or Councilmember Marquez, you could just put a high five like that, or just raise your hand and then I can see you, okay? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Councilmember.
No, I just want to let you know that you had me on mute.
Oh,
no question.
Yeah. For right now, I have everybody on mute until you speak, and then we unmute. Yeah, just so that way there's no background. Okay. All right. Seeing none other than A14. Okay, Councilmember Thornton, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment on A14. I really appreciate the support to get this on the agenda. This is going to really ease the financial burden on our tenants, residential and from commercial properties who have had to experience the impact of COVID-19 at no fault of their own. And so the Governor Newsom did sign a moratorium on rent, but that didn't really include tenants who were able to pay some or weren't able to pay any of their rent from having late fees assessed and penalties for non-payment or late payment. So A14 really is designed to address that in the city, and I appreciate the support of the council in getting this passed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we already did public comments on the consent calendar. So at this time, I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Okay, motion by Councilmember Marquez. Any second? Okay, second by Mayor Pro Tem Baca. So motion by Marquez, Councilmember Marquez, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Baca. City Clerk, go ahead and please call the roll call, please.
Councilmember Thornton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes. Okay, and the consent calendar passes. We're now going to move on to section F, which is our public hearing items. And yeah. Okay, right here. So we're going to go ahead and start off with F1, which is the public hearing to approve Cdbg home and ESG project selections for inclusion in fiscal year 2021 annual action plan. Now, keep in mind before I have Marshall Ironman, the Assistant City Manager, give a report on this item. This is basically the culminating effort, a lot of hard work from the staff and also from our council as well. We started this process back in, I believe, December and January. And if you could please mute your mics, if there's somebody with the background noise back there, thank you. Okay, so we started in January with the application process, and then from there it gets screened. Wildan Financials also screened them, and then there was a second level screening by the staff, and then it went to our finance subcommittee meeting. The finance subcommittee meeting is made up of our CFO, which is Marshall Ironman, our assistant city manager that's there, several staff members, myself as a chair, and then also Councilmember Cabrera as well as a member of the finance subcommittee. So we had actually about two, if not three, I believe, finance subcommittee meetings. And I think it went really well. We didn't have anyone that came to those meetings to speak against any item. And so that's, as a result, that's why this item is actually here. So I say that because if there were issues with any of the items, that's really where it should have been addressed, or at least to let us know about it, because this is kind of more of a culminating effort already from all the hard work that we've already done, and the finance subcommittee meetings that we've already had, and all of that. So I'll go ahead and have a report of Financial and Management Services Department, Assistant City Manager Marshall Ironman.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. And I appreciate that great introduction, because I believe you've recapped a lot of what we've done from December until this time. So where we are with this process now is we're at the first public hearing that will lead into the second public hearing so that we can submit these items to HUD. So what we're looking at on these grant programs is really 3 items: the Community Development Block Grant, which the city receives about $2 million a year on, the Emergency Solutions Grant, which is about $182,000, and then the Home Program, which is about $692,000. So I'll give you a quick little recap on those programs and what we're looking at on the potential funding, where those dollars will go. But with the Home Program, those typically go towards new affordable housing projects. Those, at this point, we did not receive any applications. Those funds will be then held as we work with other developers and they come in through the next year to really look at where we can invest those funds into new projects. The Emergency Solutions Program is basically utilized to address homeless issues and homelessness prevention. We've historically funded the Homeless Management Information System with the county. That's a small dollar amount of $5,000. And then we've got the portion that goes to the Mayor's Homeless to Work program. So we're continuing that as we move forward to the future. We will have some funds remaining, and we'll be looking at other programs that we can look at homelessness prevention in the community. And then with the Community Development Block Grant program, what we have there is really 15% of that goes to public programs. That's about $300,000. And we're looking to continue to fund some of the nonprofits that have been involved with the city historically. So no new agencies are added this year. And then a portion of that goes into what was funded into streets and ADA projects as well. I'm kind of skipping the whole report, but attached to the staff report provides all of the detail on where the potential funding allocations are going. And as the mayor mentioned, we've walked through these through technical review committees, and we've provided the information previously. That concludes my report. If there's any questions from the city council.
Okay, thank you so much, Marshall. If there's any questions from the council members, if you could please raise your hand, that would be great. Okay. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open the hearing. And now we're going to get to public testimony. Okay, so if there's anyone that would like to speak on this item, if you could please raise your hand. And if you don't know where that's at, so right next to where it says mute in your box, where it says mute, there's 3 little dots. There's an icon there, and if you click that, there should be a raise hand icon there. Also, if you go to the chat box, you should be able to see a raise hand icon as well. Okay, so we'll give everyone a moment to find that. All right. And I'm just going to make a written list here so we have it, who we have here. So we have, okay, Brother Benjamin. We also have Jessica Munoz, Daryl Terrell, and we have, okay. Now, just so you know, public comments on this item have to be about this item. Okay, so please make sure that it's on this item. And then we also have Benny. Okay. Allow a few more seconds just in case. Also, if you can't find it, you can also send me a chat. Okay, I think there was an extra person I just saw. Okay, Alicia. Okay. Let me check one more time. Okay, we're good to go. All right, I'm going to go with that list. We also have Sharon and we also have Ladonna as well. Okay, and I'm just kind of browsing through here just to kind of make sure. Anybody else? Yes, I got you, Ladonna. I got you. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and start. We'll go ahead and start with, and it's going to be 2 minutes each. So we'll go ahead and start with Alicia. It should be, there you go, Alicia.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Baca, and to all of our city council members. My name is Alicia Berridge, and I am the founder and executive director of Rising Stars Business Academy. Some of you may or may not know about our program, but we are located right here in the city of Moreno Valley, and we are a nonprofit leadership development organization. But we do have the opportunity that all of the students that enroll in our program, it's kind of made up of 6 components. And those six components are made up of mentoring, counseling, education, where they can get their high school diploma, occupational training, and then also we have, we offer ages 15 to 24. So we have actually now been in Moreno Valley celebrating our 10th year of operation. So woohoo, we're happy about that. But we are applying for the Cdbg grant. And I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit about Rising Stars. We also offer due to the coronavirus now, most of our students are all online, but normally we are classroom based and we offer still life skills, leadership development, anger management, one-on-one counseling. So we're still able to do all of that we were offering in the classroom now online. It is a big transition for us and our students, but everyone's kind of fallen in line and we're just excited that we're still connecting with our students. And I just want to say thank you to the city and the city council members, all that have supported us over the years. We appreciate you. We love our city and we want to just keep making sure that we can make an impact with the city as well as with our young people. So we just thank you and appreciate you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I did get your message, Benny, in the chat box. So some of you guys have been sending me messages. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and have Benny.
All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. It's a pleasure to be here this evening on my couch to join the City Council meeting. So real briefly, I do want to just share what the CDBG funding that we applied for. So we applied for a job readiness program for 60 of our young people to go through this training. So each cohort, we plan to have 20 young people each cohort to go through a 40-hour in-class lecture about customer service and job readiness, including market reviews and all the other good things that come with that, including the CPR certification training, the food handler's permit, and also hopefully get a driver's license permit. So on top of that, after the 40 hours of lecture, we want to put them into a 40-hour internship. So the 40-hour internship will give them the hands-on job training skills that they need for that specific field and whatnot. So it's going to be a 40-hour lecture, 40-hour internship, and then with the hopes to retain our young people within employment for long term. So I just want to briefly just share that out to the city council members, what we plan on doing with the funds. And then we hope that by after summer, we can go back to classroom based. And if not, then we're still able to deliver the instruction just as well as we're able to deliver it in person. So I just want to share that out to the city council and to the rest of my peers here. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Benny. Thanks for coming on virtually. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll have Jessica Munoz.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you so much for providing us with this opportunity to speak to the staff recommendations. First of all, I want to thank the city very much for your ongoing partnership and support of Voices for Children. My name is Jessica Munoz. I'm the Executive Director of Voices for Children. We're the Riverside County Court-appointed Special Advocate program. That means that we have the unique privilege and responsibility of training very special volunteers who are appointed by judges to advocate for children who've been removed from their homes due to abuse or neglect and placed into foster care. The funds that the city has provided through the Cdbg program in past years, including this year, has been absolutely instrumental in ensuring that we can serve vulnerable children in the city of Moreno Valley, and has funded our recruitment, training, and most importantly, our efforts to support these volunteers well. As we move forward in the coming months, we anticipate that, unfortunately, this very vulnerable population of children will need our CASA volunteers even more. The social distancing that has been put into place for all of our health and well-being in many ways undermines what children who've experienced trauma come to rely on as their sense of safety: predictable routines, engagement with adults outside their home, their typical school services, as well as mental health services, and all kinds of support systems for these children have been disrupted. And despite that disruption, our volunteers and our staff are being very creative about making sure that we're engaging with these young people on a regular basis and sharing what we learn about their needs with the social workers, attorneys, and others who are making decisions about their care. So we would respectfully request that you follow the staff recommendations to fund us again this year. And please know that we're prepared to take on the unique challenges ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. We have Daryl Terrell.
City Council. I know you have made the decision as far as the project to be funded, but also consider this. We are facing a pandemic, and I think that we should find some money in the CBG funding or other funding sources to create a income-based renter relief fund for our residents. Because when you guys were making the decision, we wasn't going through so much of this pandemic, but right now, a lot of our residents are gonna be hurting to try to pay their rent. So if there's any money left over, that we should start again, an income-based COVID-19 renter relief fund. Also, we should think about setting up a COVID-19 small business relief assistance fund to help our small businesses. And I think some of the CGB money that we do have there that we could be used to help our small business, our mom and pop, to stay afloat and keep our people employed. So I know it's kind of late in the game, but I mean, we got people that are suffering right now in our community, our renters, that makes up at least 43%, and at least 86% of those folks pay 50% of their income towards housing. And we got our small business community that's gonna have to wait on the federal government to try to help out, but we could do something to help keep our small business, our mom and pop businesses open. So if you consider to find some kind of funding within the CBG funds to carve out a relief program for our small business folks and our renters. And thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Appreciate it. Okay, next speaker we have is Brother Benjamin.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak in behalf of the Hole in Wall, Inc. And my name is Benjamin Schuler. I am the founder and the executive director of the program. We've been involved with the homeless population, people in our city that we've been addressing and helping them to get off the street. We've been a go-to place so they can come throughout the day, and we provide mail services for them. We provide food, we provide clothing for job search. We provide substance abuse treatment connections in case they need help in that capacity. but our main objective is to get them off the street. I have one of my clients that we helped about 11 months ago on the line. If I could have him speak, is that possible, Mayor?
It would be a separate, is it on this item?
He's on same item, yes, sir. He's a client that we helped get off the street. He's been on the street, but he's no longer on the street. I want him to give his little 1-minute testimony.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
His name is Javon Williams. Could we open up his mic? Javon, are you on?
Let's see.
Yes.
There he is.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
William.
Go ahead, Javon. You got the floor.
Oh yeah. I'll give my testimony for the Hole in the Wall Corporation. It's a nice place. It's a wonderful place. I was down and out in the streets and heavy on alcohol. And it had helped me. With the resources as far as getting myself together. I'm a year clean now as well, and I also have a place to live. I was living in my car until I found the hole in the wall, and yeah, they gave me a stable place to live, and now I have a job and work, and have a car, and yeah, so that's just all I have to say for that. It's a wonderful place.
Thank you,
I would like
Javon.
to see it continue.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Benjamin.
About 70 people a year, about 12 people a month come through our door, and most of them don't have ID. Most of them got a drug problem. Most of them got mental health issues. We address all of those issues. We have case managers on deck. We have social workers that we have access to that we. So our whole objective is to get them off the street, not temporarily, but permanently. And I just
Thank you.
To give his testimony. And
No
I want
problem.
to thank the city for the opportunity. And I hope and pray that the city see the need of our agency so they can continue helping us in this endeavor and consider us in this year's funding. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Benjamin, for participating as well. Okay, our next speaker we have is Ladonna Johnson. Oh, you just muted yourself, I think. There. You're still on. There you go.
Okay, good evening, staff, mayor, city council, and other residents. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about the MOVAN project. And I am the president of the Friends of Moreno Valley Senior Center that is responsible for the transportation program called MOVAN that assists seniors and disabled to come to the senior center and other necessities. Also, as their grant writer, I have hands-on experience because I am at the senior center when it was open consistently, at least 3 to 4 times per week. And I tell you, it allows the seniors to have the ability to interact with one another, to keep their minds sharp with the workshops and also the classes that are offered. They use the exercise room to keep their bodies mobile. They have taxes done at no cost, haircuts done, healthy lunches for them to participate in. And these are just a little bit of touch of exactly what is provided at the senior center. But what MOVAN does is we transport the seniors to the to the senior center in order to participate. And it provides an additional component of curb to curb because we go straight to their home and come to the senior center. We take them to the farmer's market, to medical and dental appointments, grocery store, whatever needs to be done for our seniors. And there are a lot of seniors without transportation. All they're charged is $1 per trip. And it doesn't even barely put a dent in paying for the transportation program, but that is not our intention. So I do want to thank you for the recommendation of the 60,000. My vice president is waiting to speak with you so he can address the amount of money that we requested and the recommendation by staff. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next speaker we have is Sister Sharon.
My name is Sharon Peters. That's,
Hi.
yes, I didn't know it was gonna come up there, Sister Sharon. But anyway.
It says sister, yeah.
I'd like to introduce myself to you tonight. I'm a retiree from the County of Riverside Health Department. And I have a nonprofit organization called Highway and Hedges Information and Referral Network. It was founded in 2003, and it was here located in Moreno Valley off of Redlands Boulevard. I was housed in the Christian Chapel Foursquare Church under Pastor Steve Overton, who's no longer with us. He's been gone a couple of years. I work directly with the 211, and a lot of the nonprofit organizations that you know of, I've either helped create them or did their paperwork. I develop small grassroots organizations. I do the paperwork, the 501c3 for the city and the state. And I do a lot of program development. I'm a grant writer. I'm a silent person because I know you guys probably don't know me, but I'm very active in the community in referrals, placing people to different resources in the Riverside County. I'm here tonight because of the interest in the homeless population here in Moreno Valley, California. And I'm here to support Brother Benjamin. Brother Benjamin has been around for the last 10 years, and he really needs some support. We need to really gather around him. If you don't really know what happened over at a hole in the wall, you need to visit and stay there and see what comes through there. I mean, a person, I don't know anywhere else in Moreno Valley, I can send a homeless person that are gonna get something to eat immediately, get a shirt on their back, a pair of pants, and can sit there all day. I don't know anywhere else that you can go to and have a meeting.
Thank you, Sister Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next speaker we have is Howard Young. Howard? If he's still on?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, I'm here in behalf of the Friends of Moreno Valley Senior Citizen Center. And as you heard Ladonna speak in terms of the mobile van that we provide transportation for seniors in order to give them opportunity to get away from the home and commingle with their peers. And we are requesting funds. You provided funds for us in the past years. And here again, this year, we are requesting funds as our funds increased by the way of, we have a transit contract and they have increased the expense that they charge us. Therefore, our expense requesting to you is increased by that amount in order that we can accommodate those expenses that we need for to take care of the mobile van. To assist us and take care of the mobile van, we increased from $55,000 to the amount of $7,000 you promised us, be $60,000, and we will be very grateful to that amount of money that you give us this year in order to continue our service with the mobile van curb-to-curb service for the seniors.
Okay, thank you so much, Howard. Okay, all right, let me go here, just make sure. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to close the hearing. We're going to move to deliberation. If any council member would like to speak, they can. At this moment, just go ahead and speak. You should be unmuted already. And then if not, we'll wait a little bit. If not, okay, we have Councilmember Cabrera. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And, you know, really, I just want to thank all of the residents who spoke on this item tonight. As the mayor said at the beginning, it is a long process for deciding how we're going to allocate CDBG funding. And we had at least 3 meetings where we reviewed all the applications and there were opportunities for applicants to come out and speak. And so, you know, with that being said, I know there's a few applicants that are here tonight, and it's, you know, it's kind of difficult to make the changes here last minute because we could potentially hold up funding for all of the other applicants and all of the other programs that are already decided on. But, you know, if any of my colleagues are open to that and amenable to that, I would fully support reallocating some funding for either Rising Stars or the Hole in the Wall. So with that, I'll end my comments on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it is very difficult, the time to do that is at the Finance Subcommittee, and Councilmember Cabrera, you are on the Finance Subcommittee with me as well. And that's really where, we really look in the weeds and we really try to figure out, which groups we're gonna, be recommending. There's only so much money. I think it's about $283,000. And I think we get so many requests. I think it's about $2.3 million of requests from organizations. So, I mean, if we had the money, I would, hey, let's give it out. But unfortunately, we only get about $300,000 public funds from the Cdbg. And so that's what makes it very, very difficult. And I think that's why we have the process that we have in place. So we have, Wildan, the outside company that screens them. The staff meets with them as well. At any time, any of these applicants can meet with any one of us. I have not had a request, to have a meeting, specifically, from Rising Stars. And just so you know, I support Rising Stars. I've always supported Rising Stars. I actually helped with the funding the last time, but this is the first that I saw, that you're speaking on this item, as far as Rising Stars, and that's fine. But usually you start at this process real early, so then that way we can make sure that we're allocating enough funds for everybody else. Right now, if we were to do something like that, we would be taking funds away from people that honestly have already received tentative approval letters. Basically, they've already received this input, for example, Voices for Children, other groups, they already received that they're already on this recommendation to be approved. And that's what makes it very, very difficult. So that's why we have that process. And that's why I think we had like 3 finance subcommittee meetings. And not one time did we have any of the people that are speaking here right now come to the public speaking time at the finance subcommittee meeting. So I just want to make that very clear that we have that process and it's available. And I haven't had any requests for meetings, nor was it at the finance subcommittee meeting. And that's really where the train left, and so to speak. So Mayor Pro Tem, you had some comments?
Yes. Initially, I had heard that we were funding the same agencies, and I'm looking at the agenda packet, and I see that some of the agencies did get an increase from last year. So I would like to keep their grant at the same amount as they had for the 19-20 fiscal year. For example, some it's like, let me go back. Voices for Children, they requested 30,000. They got 30,000 last year, and we're giving them 30,000 this year. That's fine. But there are some agencies that are getting maybe 5,000, 10,000, or 15,000 more this year. So if we could just keep their grant as we did for the previous fiscal year, and maybe come up with some funds for the Hole in the Wall. I've been to the Hole in the Wall, and I can't tell you how humble this nonprofit is, and how accommodating they are to the less fortunate, to our homeless people, and the places that they have, and the real programs that they have. They have, like Brother Benjamin mentioned, they have clothes for them to go to get interviews. They provide them with transportation and appointments to the DMV so they can get their identifications, so they can apply for public benefits. So I would really, really ask that we stop the train. I know I left the station, but if we can stop the train and allocate some funding to the Hole in the Wall.
Okay. Any other comments from council members? Okay, Councilmember Marquez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This program, a lot of nonprofit groups are aware of those programs, and the thing about it, if you cut it off now, it's a disadvantage for the nonprofit that's already been designated so much money. And like the Mayor Pro said, we should not give more than what these organizations ask for. But to stop now, the train now, and to rearrange all this, it would not be fair for the organizations that have already been pre-approved. I would love to get more money and give it to these nonprofit groups. But like you said, Mayor, there's a process that we do have to go by. And again, if you don't get discouraged, these groups that don't get any money or have missed the train, there's always ample time to resubmit at a later date and get some money from us. So I don't feel we should stop the train now. Let it continue this year, and we'll start off from the beginning, back in December and January. So
and just to make a comment too, we do receive from time to time, sometimes we can get extra money from Cdbg, and I'm not committing the city, in any way, shape or form, because I don't know how much we're going to receive. But sometimes we do receive extra money from HUD. And that could be something that we can take a look at, if that goes into fruition. And usually every year that usually kind of happens. And I believe this year with the CARE Act, with the whole COVID situation, we might be able to get some extra funding that maybe we can consider that, in later down the road. But I do want to stress the fact that really at the Finance Subcommittee, that, that's where, you come to the Finance Subcommittee and you make your case there. Because it's really important, we got to hear from you, at that moment, and that's where, you're making these recommendations. At that time, we didn't receive any of this input, from these two organizations. And so I voted to recommend it to come to council, and so did Councilmember Cabrera, because he's on that subcommittee. And so we both recommended it because we didn't see that there was, a need there. Now, just so you know, Will Dan uses a formula as well, and so does staff. They use a formula. And I would like to have Marshall, if you could explain the formula that they use and kind of why certain organizations get a certain number, because I think it's important to understand, that methodology, that they use a method to come up with the recommendations. Now, of course, those things can be changed, of course. And they usually do, a lot of times they get changed at the Finance Subcommittee meetings. And I believe we had 3. So Marshall, if you can just correct me, I don't know if it was 3 or if it was 2 or 3. You're all wrapped up there. So Marshall, if you could just correct me on how many we had, but if I could have sworn, I thought we had several meetings, and then staff had a technical advisory committee meeting as well. And that was another opportunity as well.
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes, Mayor. As you kind of mentioned before, this process starts in December. So agencies are aware as they're working through it. And many of the agencies that receive funding from us have been in the process for multiple years, and we've worked with them. Some of the applicants, even on this case, I know that we've spoken with Hole in Wall directly through this application process. And we've had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Schuler about opportunities in the future. There are some things that his operation needs to get in place, and these are not city restrictions, but more of HUD requirements. So please keep in mind that all of these funds are federal funds, and we basically pass them through to subrecipients. But those subrecipients have to be able to meet the HUD requirements and the compliance issues, whether it's audited financial statements, whether it's their accounting procedures, it's how they process and intake individuals. Those are very complex on that side. So as we're going through the application process, we've got to look at basically how they'll be able to follow that area. Because if they're not, what happens is they end up spending these funds and they're unable to get reimbursement from the city for those items. And it creates a financial hardship for them. So we want to make sure that they're prepared as they go through. And part of Will Dan's financials assessment is really looking at the applications that these individuals provided, asking the questions up front, and going through that process. It is unique to each one. And as I mentioned, we try to work with them to help them when they have questions on preparing a better application in the future so that they can seek funds. And just to piggyback on your other portion with the CARE Act, the city will be receiving additional Cdbg funds to address the COVID-19 issues. And we'll be working with the city council at a later date to look at how we can allocate those funds at your discretion. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Marshall. Councilmember Dr. Thornton, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I was just looking over the report and just trying to figure out which nonprofits were receiving additional money based upon what they received for 1920. And I see it was Fair Housing Council, Riverside County, Operation Safe House, and then the Friends of Moreno Valley Senior Center. And so just in support of, what Councilmember Cabrera said and Mayor Pro Tem Baca about, opening up to supporting, because the work that the Hole in the Wall is doing right there on Sunnymead in our own city, it's so needed in this community. But going off of what Marshall, when he just mentioned he talked to someone, he mentioned someone's name. I don't know who he was saying. Was that Brother Benjamin that he was referring to, that he's sat down and talked to about what administratively he has to have in the nonprofit to support this federal CDBG grant, and it's not set up? I was kind of confused by that, so I'm gonna get some more clarification. But I do think, and I'm not on the finance subcommittee, so I trust you, Mayor, and Councilmember Cabrera, but I do think that we need to look at nonprofits that not only are located here in our city, but doing the work in our city before we increase funding to other nonprofits. And if the Hole in the Walls has continued to apply and they have been continued to be denied, and same with Rising Star Academy, sitting down with them to explain to them in detail what steps need to be taken in order for them to be eligible. And also, I'm sorry, last question, that I know you mentioned multiple times about how the finance subcommittee is where they need to go. Is that advertised to them? Do they know that is where they need to go? And just following up with them on that so that they're eligible for another time.
Sure, definitely. And I'll let Marshall speak on that as far as, the advertisement and the email blast that we send. So Marshall, if you could just speak to that. And I do believe Rising Stars was awarded a few years ago. And if you could speak to that item as well.
Okay, yes, perfect, Mayor. As we go through this process, there is constant communication. As I mentioned, we start this actually in December. Through the application process, we actually have a hands-on workshop so that we can answer questions, work with staff. As I mentioned, even with Hole in Wall, where they had questions through this, we actually did a site visit and we're able to speak with them as well and look at some components. And that's where we've provided some suggestions that might make it a little bit more successful next year once they meet some minimum requirements. With regards to Rising Star, I do not believe that they've applied in a number of years. So this is the first time that we've seen them in 3 or 4 years even submit an application. So we haven't had a conversation with them in a long time. Back then we used to have multiple conversations. In that area, it really addresses let's say training programs, and when we're looking at the potential grant allocations, we try to make sure that those dollars are spread in different areas. The city has been working a lot with the Moreno Valley Community College to invest in a lot of training programs, and so we've had those efforts there. And so the funds on the CDBG have been a little bit more focused on more of the homeless situations, the low income, and avoiding more financial distress for certain families. And just to answer one question before, there was $20,000 of additional funding that was allocated to 4 agencies. So 4 of them received $5,000 more. And as you mentioned, that's going to the emergency shelter for youth, the Friends of Moreno Valley Senior Center, the Hope Vision Center, and the Riverside Area Rape Crisis Center, which so those are critical programs as well that aren't always met by other organizations within the community. Did I hopefully answer everything, or if there's another item I missed, I apologize.
Is that sufficient for you, Councilmember Thornton? Okay, all right. I'll go ahead and close the deliberation at this time. I think I allowed every council member to speak. Okay, and I will entertain a motion to approve staff's recommendations, numbers 2 and 3.
I move.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Marquez.
Second.
A second by Councilmember Cabrera. Okay, please vote. City Clerk.
Councilmember Thornton,
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez,
Oh, you froze, Councilmember? Marquez?
We may have lost his connection.
Okay. Okay, City Clerk?
Motion, so that would be a yes vote.
Yeah, but just go ahead and keep going, City Clerk.
Councilmember Cabrera said yes. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yeah, yes. Okay, motion passes 5-0, depending on Councilmember Marquez's vote, and we'll follow up on that.
Motion, so it should be recorded as a yes vote.
Yeah, usually it is, yeah. So yeah, once you make a motion, that's pretty much, you're voting for it. Okay, so we're gonna move on to item F2, which is the Municipal Code Amendment to add section 9.03.065. Right, and we're gonna have a report from the Community Development Department, Manny Mancha, who is the director. And you are on, Manny.
Mr. Mancha, can you please press the accept on mute button? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, and council members. The proposed municipal code amendment before you is in response to Senate Bill 330. Senate Bill 330 was adopted by state legislation in October of 2019 and became effective January 1st, 2020. This bill declared a housing crisis within the state of California, imposed certain requirements to streamline the construction of new housing and prevent the loss of new housing as a result from rezoning, and establishing a no net loss of residential provision. In order to comply with the no net loss provision, a municipal code amendment has been proposed to add section 9.03.065 to Title IX to establish a new residential density bonus program. The provisions of this section will allow the city to rezone residential properties to a less intensive non-residential use or other land use entitled, which will reduce housing capacity while still complying with the no net loss provision. The municipal code amendment does this by requiring the number of residential units that will be made available for this density bonus program be established with an approved zone change that would otherwise result in loss of residential units. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council conduct a public hearing and introduce ordinance for first reading and schedule for second reading of this proposed ordinance. That includes staff's report.
Okay, thank you so much, Director Mancha. So at this time, I'm going to ask council if they have any questions that at this time they can raise their hand or press the request to speak button. Okay, seeing none. Oh, I hear that I heard somebody. Okay, all right. So we'll go ahead and open the hearing. And we do have a public testimony by one person. So we'll go ahead and have John Grace. And because there's only just one person for this item, we'll go ahead and do the 3 minutes on this item. So Mr. Grace. Thought I saw him.
Honorable Mayor, I have no comments at this point.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. I entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendations numbers 1 and 2.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a motion made by Councilmember Cabrera, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Baca. Okay, please vote. So it's Cabrera and Baca.
Councilmember Marquez, Councilmember Marquez?
Actually, Councilmember Marquez, can you go ahead and make your vote here? I've got Marquez on the phone, and he's going to, if Pat, if you could please recall that.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Thornton?
Councilmember Thornton? Where'd she go?
She's on mute. If you can unmute her, possibly.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes. Okay, item passes and carries. We're going to go straight to F3, which is public hearing for adoption of the proposed resolution for the full vacation for that portion of Stoddard Street located between Williams Avenue and Alessandra Boulevard. We'll have a report from the Public Works Department. Representing the Public Works Department is Michael Wolf, who's the Public Works Director and also the Assistant City Manager. So Michael, you're on.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. As indicated, this is a item for tonight is the vacation of a portion of Stoddard Street. As you can see on the screen there, we have a little exhibit to use. So staff has looked at this. This is a proposed vacation between Williams Avenue and Alessandra Boulevard. It's the blue section there on the screen. Staff received a request from the property owner who is adjacent to the proposed vacation area. That's in red, 2889 Williams Avenue. The city has a right-of-way easement for as dedicated through the Moreno subdivision track map. There are no street public improvements there in that section of Stoddard Street. The right-of-way is not needed for present and future public use per our staff's research. However, EMWD has requested to reserve their utility easement, which is present there right now, for their existing water line. So pursuant to the Streets and Highway Code section, we made proper notification in the newspaper. We also placed notices on the property and the public hearing was set for tonight. So staff recommends that we hold the public hearing tonight and then absent any compelling testimony otherwise, council to adopt the resolution to vacate that portion of the right of way as presented. That concludes my report.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and see if there's any council questions of staff. If there's no council questions of staff, hey, Councilor Marquez, how you doing? Okay, so, all right, we'll go ahead and open the hearing. And then any public testimony on this item? Madam Clerk, is there any public testimony? We'll close the hearing. I entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendation number 2. Okay.
I make the motion. Can you hear me, Mayor?
Mayor, you're on mute.
Sorry.
No
yes,
move.
I can.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, okay, so you made the motion, right? Yeah. And then a second by Councilmember Dr. Thornton. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and have, sorry, I'm kind of muting on and off. I have my dog here in the background. Okay, so, all right, so, okay, so we'll go ahead and call for a vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Thornton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes, and this was for actually recommendation number 2. Now for recommendation numbers 3 and 4, it needs to be a separate motion. So I need a motion on that one.
I'll motion for staff recommendation 3 and 4.
I'll second.
Okay, second from Councilmember, who was it?
Mayor, I think it was for F3, it was just one motion.
Let me see. Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, it's 2 and 3. Yeah, so it's just one motion. Yeah. So, okay, great. Yeah. Okay, so we're good. So now we're going to go ahead and go to Michael Wolf again. And actually the motion does pass. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to the NPDS item, which is F4, and we'll go ahead and have a report from Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. This is a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDS, ballot proceedings for 3 projects. So tonight we're going to be talking about 3 projects: Kia dealership, senior housing project, and the Wood Springs Suites, which is the hotel. So there is a requirement for these 3 projects, a conditional approval to satisfy their NPDS requirements. Each one of these property owners has requested to use the special district option to satisfy that conditional approval. So specifically tonight, we're talking about the NPDS parcel charge, and it only affects these specific property owners. So what staff is recommending tonight is hold a public hearing, and again, absent compelling testimony otherwise, for council to approve the action to conduct the ballot process first, and then once the ballot process is over, staff's recommending to accept those results of the ballot, and if a yes ballot, then set the rate. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, any public testimony on this one? I don't see. None. No, okay. Any council questions of staff? No. Okay, seeing none. Okay, I'll go ahead and open the hearing. Hearing is open. Again, no public testimony. Hearing is closed. Council deliberation. Okay, seeing no council deliberation, I'll go ahead and entertain this one. We do have to take 2 motions, so I'll entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendations numbers 2.
I
move.
Okay, we'll have a. Okay. Okay. Councilmember, actually Mayor Pro Tem Baca made the motion, and then a second by Councilmember Cabrera. Okay, please. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Thornton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera,
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca,
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez.
Yes. All right, great. The next motion is entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendations numbers 3 and 4. Motion on that one.
We need to read the ballots.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, go ahead and give you a moment there to count.
All ballots voted yes.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion for this item? Cabrera, would you like to make one?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, a motion by Councilmember Cabrera, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Baca. Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Thornton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera,
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca,
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez.
Yes. All right, great. Item passes. We're going to move and carries. Next item of business is G1, which is disposition and development / affordable housing agreement and between the Housing Authority, City of Moreno Valley, and the Courtyards Cottonwood LP, which is the company there. A report of Financial Management Services Department will have our Assistant City Manager, ACM, and CFO, Marshall Ironman. Okay, if you can do your staff report, please.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. This item is for the approval of a disposition and development agreement for the Courtyards at Cottonwood Affordable Housing Project. We'd previously been to council back in February looking at the potential project and have been working since that time with the entitlements for the property, getting through the Planning Commission, and basically securing different federal funds, which include the Neighborhood Stabilization Program of approximately $3.4 million, and home funds that we can utilize of about $1 million. So at this time, the development is ready to essentially move forward following this disposition and development agreement. The item would approve the funding that we have available from the federal government, and this project would entail 80 affordable housing units at the on Cottonwood. 20 of those units would be restricted for senior components, And since we have a financial partnership in this, we would restrict the affordability covenants for this property for approximately 56 years. So that would provide a benefit to a need in our community, and particularly those 20 units for the senior community as well. So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Marshall. We'll go ahead and have any council questions of staff. So council members, you're unmuted. So if you wanted to just have a question about it, you can ask the question. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to open the hearing. And now we're going to move to public testimony on this item. We do have one person, James Jernigan. Did you put in a slip? James?
Where are we?
Oh, you're not muted, Pat. All right, let's see. James?
I think I'm on now.
There you are. Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem. I did not put in a slip, but I'd be happy to speak briefly on the project. I've worked with staff and council for the last several years to get this thing teed up, and we're at a point where with this financing that we're asking for approval tonight, we'll be able to start construction on this long overdue project in August. So I'm particularly excited, and Marshall mentioned we have a senior component that was suggested by council a couple years ago. We built that into our plan, and we're able to make that happen. So we'll have 20 senior units in a separate building. We'll have 60 families in a two-story building right next to it, and social services, site amenities that will be particular to each population. So excited about this. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to address any public or any staff or council members.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is actually something we've been working on, right, James? You've been working on for quite a long time and trying to get this going. And so it's been on for a while, and it's gone through a lot of different staff people as well.
Mayor, I got one question.
Yes.
Hey, Jim, what's the lead time on this? With the weather permitting, what do you look completion of this project?
We'll complete it December of 21. So we've got a 16-month construction timeline, and hopefully we can beat that, but that's what we're targeting right now.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, thank you, James. I'm going to go ahead and close the hearing. I'm going to entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendations to numbers 1 through 3 first.
I move.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Baca, second by Councilmember Cabrera. Okay, please vote.
Councilmember Thornton?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes. I entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendations numbers 4 through 6. Okay,
So
motion made by Councilmember Marquez.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Cabrera. So that was Marquez and Cabrera. Go ahead, please vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Thornton?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes. All right, great. So we're looking forward to that housing project, and the motion passes to bring that affordable housing for the community, and especially for the seniors. I think that's really important too. All right, we're going to go to City Council reports. We have one from March Joint Powers Commission, and we have Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Give me a minute to find it. Hold on.
If not, we can go to City Attorney. Do you have a report? You're muted, City Attorney. No,
yeah. The only thing I want to report is that the Riverside County Public Health Officer issued an order yesterday that allows golf courses to reopen for limited purposes. Can have no more than 4 persons playing golf, and there has to be social distancing, and you have to wear a face covering. So that's the latest order to come out of public health.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. You need more time, Mayor Pro Tem? You got it?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. City Manager, go ahead and do your report, please.
Sure, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I want to report just two items. First is the Mobile Meals Program. This is going to be our 5th week of the program. Every week we're averaging about 500 meals being delivered. So by the 5th week, you have delivered 2,500 meals to our seniors and also people with disability. So that's a fantastic program, and most of the applicants are asking for home deliveries. They're actually being delivered to their homes. The second thing is there's some of the speakers asking for some of the assistance that the city has been providing. First is that under the leadership of the mayor and city council, we remain to have our Employment Resource Center open. As a lot of the other public facilities have closed, the Employment Resource Center, which is funded by the Steve Miner Valley, that remains open. There are city staffs there helping a lot of our residents through some of the potential benefits that might be available to them. Also, we are still working with a lot of the small businesses as well as potential people looking to hire. There's at least 20 to 30 companies that are looking to hire people at this time. And a lot of the residents could just show up at the Miner Valley Employment Resource Center, and we'll be happy to help them through the process. That concludes City Manager's report for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, City Manager. Appreciate it. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes, thank you so much. Tonight I'm providing an update from the March Joint Powers Commission meeting held on April 8th. The March Joint Powers Authority Commission meeting was also held on Zoom. So the offices are closed and everyone's reporting from home. At that meeting, the commission approved the exclusive negotiating agreement for the development of aviation, industrial, or cargo terminal uses on parcel D1 North. We also designated authorized agents for disaster assistance and authorized the executive director to take emergency actions. Finally, we discussed the COVID-19 closure of the golf course and the impacts to the golf course operating budget. That concludes my March Joint Powers report.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we'll go ahead straight to closing comments here. Our first one is Councilmember Dr. Thornton.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a timer set up or?
Yes.
Okay, so I like I said, I want to thank my fellow colleagues for supporting the emergency order on the fines for apartments. If anyone finds that they are still being assessed fees, please reach out to the city attorney's office at 951-451-3036. Also, that is backdated until March 27th. So if there are any fees that you have been assessed, please connect with your landlord. It's going to be imperative and for you to communicate with them about this new emergency order, but just in general about any of your COVID-19 issues. You're going to have clear communication with them. And so please contact that number if you're having any issues. There is still an opportunity for our residents to be involved with our general plan and to participate in it, the 2040 general plan. The next general plan advisory committee meeting is going to occur on April 30th on Thursday at 5:30. So please go to the webpage to obtain information on how you can participate on that. It's going to be very important for you to take advantage of all of these opportunities. Lastly, I want you all to know that us as a city council, our mayor, our city staff, we are really trying to lobby not only our state representatives, but our congressional representative to establish policies to help support our economy during this COVID-19 crisis. The economic impacts to our city budget is going to be so far reaching, and as of right now, there is no funding coming directly to our city from not only the federal government, but the state government. And so all of the advocates in our community who show up to our meetings, please reach out to State Assembly Member Medina, Senator Roth, Congressional Representative Mark Takano, and lobby that they support policy to support our funding here at the local community level. And that's all I have for now, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Thornton. Next we have Councilmember Marquez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to touch real quick on the Cdbg funding. As much as I like to give the money to these nonprofit groups, I just want to say one thing. Don't be discouraged if you don't get the funding. Try again, try again, try again. The mayor and Councilman Cabrera, they go through this. I mean, believe me, it's a hard job, and they got a lot on their shoulders when it comes to that because there's so many groups. Don't be discouraged. Don't say that they don't care for your organizations. They do. We all do. But please follow the guidelines also. If you need some type of information, get a hold of me or the mayor or a marshal, and we'll be able to help you even more. But again, don't be discouraged if you don't get the funding when you first ask for it. Secondly, just be safe out there. You know, we all want to get out and get back to normal again out here. I see a lot of people still out here in parks. You know, wear your face mask. You might not think you have the symptoms, but you might have. And if you're walking by somebody or talking to somebody, you might be giving them the virus. Just, wear your face mask. If you have to go out, wear the face mask. If you go to all your stores, they're going to require you to wear a face mask. Home Depot, you can't go in unless you have a face mask. Walmart, just be safe out there. I just want to get over this, and I've been quarantined for going on 4 weeks now. And as much as anybody else, I want to get out of here also. Street sweeping. I've had a lot of calls lately. I don't have room to park my cars, and the street sweepers coming by. We're going to get the street sweeper out there, but you're not going to get cited. But we do ask, if you can park your vehicle on your property or even in your garage, please do that. Keep our streets clean. But if you got excess amount of cars out there, you don't have to worry about the street sweeping violations. We're just not going to give you a ticket out there right now. And lastly, the calls I've been getting also are the PD is not responding. When someone calls and says, hey, my neighbor's having a party, he's got 20 people out there, he's having a party. I call PD and they says that they can't somebody out there. PD is not going to respond to those type of violations. We're counting on the homeowners to stay within the guidelines and have no more than 10 people if you're having a party, but also wear your face mask. PD is responding to a lot of other important calls. So don't get discouraged also. Don't say that they don't care. They do care, but if everybody would call in, it'd be a disaster out there. Just the residents, abide by the codes, by the order, and don't have those parties out there. If you do have, family members, I can understand, but you're gonna have 20, 30 people at a party. It's not feasible right now. And with that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor Marquez. We have Councilmember Cabrera.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a few updates and a few comments here. First, I want to mention the stimulus checks. So I just want to remind everyone to definitely pay attention and be aware. There are a lot of scams out there, people in different organizations asking for information, and just please be aware of those scams and people trying to get that information that is not necessary. It's based off of your 2018, 2019 tax returns, and also if you get Social Security benefits, that's automatically done. But again, please look into the IRS's new tool for applying for direct deposit to make sure that you get those as soon as possible. Regarding unemployment benefits, if you weren't aware already, the state of California is one of, I believe, about 26 or so states who is giving an additional $600 per week on top of what you already get for state unemployment. So just a quick note on that. Regarding DMV, your driver's licenses, the state of California is actually extending the validity of expired licenses through May 31st for those that are 70 and younger. And for anyone 70 and older, the state is granting a 120-day extension for expired licenses. So just so you're aware of that, if your license is expired please keep that in mind. You know, don't worry too much about it. But if you really do want a piece of paper or something to show that you have, you know, attempted to renew it, you can go to dmv.ca.gov, and they'll give you a paper extension so you can have a document on hand. Regarding the economic injury disaster loan and the Paycheck Protection Program, you may have seen today the Senate actually agreed on a deal, and they're going to allocate additional funds to replenish the EIDL and the PPP. So please keep a lookout on that. We still need to wait for the House and for the President to sign that, but it looks like more than likely it will get approved. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. You can go to sba.gov, and I highly recommend that not only do you apply, but also educate yourself on the eligibility and forgiveness requirements, because there's a lot of different things that if you do take out a loan, for example, from the Paycheck Protection Program, you can probably get something at a very low interest rate, like 1 or 2%. But there are certain requirements that you must take, such as hiring a certain amount of employees for that loan to be forgiven. So please educate yourself on those requirements. You may have heard as well that testing now in Riverside County is pretty much open for anyone, regardless of whether you have symptoms or not. So, you know, please feel free to make an appointment. Library cards. I received a question from a resident actually regarding library cards. And so staff has confirmed that you can apply for a library card if you don't already have one through our mobile.org website. So you can get an electronic library card, and you can have access to all of our electronic books and resources. So please look into that. Also, I will come back with more information on this, but I'm trying to formulate a partnership with cellular network providers like T-Mobile and AT&T and Sprint to offer hotspot access through cell phones to any community members who may not have internet access at their home. So, you know, the school district provides Chromebooks to our students, but what about the families who don't have internet connection at their home? We need to be able to make sure that those students, that our children, are able to access the internet. So if anyone has any direct contacts to some of these like T-Mobile or AT&T, please, you know, reach out to me. I'd appreciate that help. So with that, just want to give a thank you, a shout out to the Inland Chinese American Alliance for donating thousands of masks to the city and to our UHS, specifically Hermie and Maria Abrigo. Thank you so much. And also to Unity of the Faith that gave away 500 gallons of milk and a lot of food this past weekend. And again, you can find more information on food pantries at mobile.org/food. So with that, just, you know, we're definitely going through a change here, but we are going to adapt, and the city has, you know, taken all the steps to prepare for this situation. So although it was unforeseen, we are ready, and we're making all the changes necessary to innovate and thrive when this is all over. So with that, stay well, stay safe, and have a good night.
Thank you, Councilor Cabrera. We have Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say that we're living in times that no one could have predicted. It's very scary. We have concerns. We have people that are afraid. We have people that are feel hopeless, that have lost their jobs. We have families that both head of households, the mom and dad, or couples, have both lost their jobs and don't know where the rent money's coming from, the money for food. There's a lot of things that are going on out there. And we're here as a city, and we're going to do what we can to tighten the belt and reduce our budget, because there are going to be some budget constraints in the future. As you know, or as many might not know, the businesses are not paying their taxes or don't need to pay their taxes. We have revenue shortfalls because we don't have anyone in our hotels. No one's driving cars, so we're not getting money from sales tax. Our businesses are closed, and most of our businesses are closed except for the some restaurants that have pickup or people that can come and pick up their meals, but they can't sit in. So many businesses are being affected. In fact, as an advocate for children with disabilities, my business is closed and it won't be open until August. So I understand how people feel when it comes to, where's their next paycheck coming from? So we're doing the best we can. We, thanks to the mayor's ingenuity, his concern and care for our community. We have the Movell meals, so we're helping 500 families every week with a weekly bag of food. It's not for everybody, of course, we can't feed everybody, we're not feeding everybody, but it is making a difference to those people that don't have meals. Some of us are locked up at home and we can't go out and get meals, not because we don't have the money, but because we can't get out. But there are some people that don't have any funding that's coming to their household. So we're trying to do our best by sharing with neighbors, having people call City Hall and asking for assistance. So we're gonna help as much as we can. But I know that as a council person, that we're gonna do our best to make sure that our city recovers in the future, that we have plans so that we come out of this hole. And I know that this is gonna end. We just don't know when. And I know that the federal government and the state government and the county have implemented some ordinances, some emergency situations to help people. And there is funding out there. Councilman Cabrera mentioned some of the stimulus checks, how to get them, how to apply for unemployment. And there are programs out there for you. Just look for them. And if you need any help, you can call any one of us. We're divided into 4 districts. I'm District 1, which is Towngate, Sunnymead, Edgemont. And you can call and ask for assistance. We're here to help you. We're gonna make it. And I just ask everyone to please be patient. It's very difficult. We're all going through this and we're all in this together. It's nothing that was planned and it's something that's never ever happened in our lifetime, as I said before, but we're gonna make it. And as a city, we're lucky that we were doing so well. And then all of a sudden we have this pandemic and my business went away on Friday the 13th in March. And it's like, I'm not superstitious, but I'll remember that day for the rest of my life because everything changed for me. I never, ever imagined being unemployed. And I'm sure that there's a lot of families out there that feel the same way. It's like, what happened? What really happened? What's really going on? But it's happening and we're gonna come out and we're gonna be okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Baca. And this is, like Mayor Pro Tem Baca mentioned, and some of the council members as well, this is a trying time, a scary time, a time of, we don't know what's going to happen, but I do believe that we're in a moment right now, and it's an unprecedented moment. Of course, it's like never happened before, but we are going to get through this. And we've actually seen, other countries already kind of get through this. So there is hope there. And I think that we're starting to actually see that with some of the science and some of the data that's out there, which is really, really a good thing as well. And I think I'm very proud of the fact that our staff, city manager, our council, and then also myself through the disaster council, we took immediate action in the very beginning as well, as far as, the facilities, the parks closure, the library closures that we did, the city hall, closing that area down, the Parks and Rec center as well. And that to me was one of the hardest decisions we had to make, especially for me, because, that's affecting the kids, and affecting the services. And I always want to stay, I never want to impact services. If that's like the last thing, that we should ever, try to impact. And so that was very, very difficult. And like Mayor Pro Tem Baca said, it's a very difficult time. A lot of residents have reached out to me as well with their stories, and everyone has a very, very important story, and we got to keep that in mind. And so I think at this moment, we got to follow the data, that's out there, and we just got to put our foot, on that accelerator and just keep going, keep doing what we know works, and keeping the social distancing, the hand washing, just all of those approaches, because we don't want to go back. Okay, we don't want to go back. that's a thing that we don't want to do. I do want to stress, like Councilmember Dr. Thornton mentioned, that it is crucial that residents reach out to your federal congressional representatives, like Mark Takano, also your state legislators, Assemblymember Medina and State Senator Roth, that the city needs additional funding because, like Mayor Pro Tem Baca mentioned, we're not going to be getting the sales tax revenue. There's going to be shortfalls from Measure A, also shortfalls from the gas tax as well. And then, and PERS is another issue as well, that all these kinds of things are actually kind of happening all at one time. And so it's going to be a big issue, but you know what, we're going to get through it. And I am confident of the measures that we have already taken. I can't talk about all of those measures right now because due to, some of those things are still in negotiations right now through closed session and the groups that we have. But, we're going to get through it. So don't be discouraged, about that. And about, the funding, that we had, for today, I am very glad that, we did get to approve and allocate over $300,000 to various groups that really need it. I think everybody needs it. Of course, if we have more money, let's give it to everybody. But, tonight we voted, to support, groups, like Safeway, Operation Safeway, which helps the kids, that unfortunately have to run away, due to neglect or issues. And that's very dear to my heart. Voices for Children, for the foster youth, a lot of programs that support our youth, and then also our homeless as well, Salvation Army and those things. And there could be multiple other programs. And you know what? Like I said, if we had the money, let's do it. But unfortunately, there's only a certain amount of money and we have to allocate that money. And that's why we use that method where, you have to, number one, be eligible. So I think one of the groups was not eligible because of their nonprofit, they weren't a nonprofit, fully nonprofit. So that was a concern there. And then it's very important that if you have a desire, and this goes out to anybody, if you have a desire to create a nonprofit and you have an innovative idea, I'm open to that innovative idea. In fact, I believe Mayor Pro Tem Baca, when she proposed supporting a group over off of more by District 2, a food pantry there, we allocated money for that. And that was the first time that ever happened. Rising Stars, I believe that was in 2014 as well, that we started that training program to support you and that. So I'm open to all kinds of innovative ideas. The Hope Vision is doing a golf program. If you have an innovative idea, create, a nonprofit to bring that idea into fruition and, and I'll support it, but you have to advocate for it. And the way to advocate for it is coming to see me, coming to see your council representative, face to face, whether it's phone, those kinds of things is really important. And then following the process of going through, the finance subcommittee meetings. And that's why we held, I believe it was 3 that we held, just to make sure, because what we wanted to do, we don't want to be pulling money away from people, at a public meeting, like that. It's just not very professional and it's not fair. It's not fair for the other nonprofits that already went through the whole process through the finance subcommittee meetings and already came to this meeting thinking that they're going to be approved and then, something else happens. So that's why I stood, where I stood. And I just want to say, again, don't be discouraged. There's going to be extra money coming. I know for a fact we're going to be allocated. I think we got the letter. We haven't got the money yet, but we did get a letter saying we're going to get extra money for Cdbg. And then we're also going to hopefully get another round of money if there's an extra stimulus that's passed by the federal government. And those kinds of things, we can use, number one, to support with the COVID-19 operations, to make our budget whole, and to make sure that we're allocating appropriate monies for police and fire, because public safety is very, very important. I think that's important to everybody. And then allocating some additional dollars to other groups, that are available. But there's a process for that, and we want to make sure that anybody that we give those dollars to is eligible and is able to get that reimbursement and that way you could be successful. I want you to be successful. We all want you to be successful. So without further ado, I do want to mention that As the mayor, I will be reconvening the Disaster Council meeting in about 2 weeks or so. The Disaster Council meeting is a meeting that includes myself, I'm the chairperson, also the Emergency Operations Director, which is our city manager, Mike Lee, and also our fire chief. He is appointed to that Disaster Council by our ordinance, and we'll be taking a look at, looking at the data that's out there, and looking at the recommendations from Riverside County Public Health, and looking to see, how we can actually move forward in a step where we don't go back. And this includes with our facilities, and trying to open them up, but incrementally, our libraries, those kinds of things, and just, our after school programs. We got so many things that we got to work on to make sure. But I am very proud that the Disaster Council and the council and the city as a whole, we've kept our employees. We've kept our temp employees as well. And we continue to allocate money for public safety. Whereas other cities, if you look at the news, there's over 400 employees, I believe, in Santa Barbara that are being laid off right now. And in a lot of other cities, that's happening all over the place. But I'm very proud that in Moreno Valley, we've been able to take measures to not go that route, at this time. And so I really do hope that with the extra money that we're going to get and the measures that we're going to take, that we'll be fine. All right, so we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:39 p.m. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe.